Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Logan, the drunken metalhead who muses, and tonight I am musing about a challenge that I kind of gave myself for the month of January. I needed to save a little bit of money for the new year, and kind of had to cut out some excessive spending that was going on when it came to record stores and online ordering of our favorite music. And I wanted instead to just buy music from a underappreciated venue, Goodwill. So essentially for January I tried to only buy CDs and stuff from Goodwill. I frequented a bunch of these locations across Charlotte, and I came up with a hefty stack. So I mean, on one hand, this is an effort for me to save money, and on the other hand, it's an effort to for me to show that there's still good music that ends up in places that people don't normally look. Goodwill being like a chief example, in that sometimes all you have to do is just take take a gander every now and then. You got a free 30-minute window, walk into your local Goodwill and see what shit people are trying to get rid of. Like, it might surprise you, and you might just walk home with a CD for $1 or less. So, because all this stuff was no more than $1, which some of it might boggle the mind. So, um, before we get into it, let's get the brass tacks out of the way. We are jamming in the background. This is a Goodwill purchase, not from this past January, but from a bit ago. It's a folk drone album by this band called the Six Organs of Admittance. And this is their album, or actually his album, because he's one guy, for Octavio Paz. I am butchering that. I really have no idea what this is, and this is my second time hearing it. But I just knew it was going to be good background music for a video like this. So yeah, currently I think we're jamming to the track number 3, Memory, Memory, Memory. Very minimalistic, very simplistic, good background music. Then we're also drinking a goddamn classic, Dale's Pale Ale from Oscar Blues. This shit is great, top-notch beer. You can never go wrong. You can buy it anywhere, and they kind of loosely tie it into the topic. I got this tall boy, this Jesus Christ, 3.2 fluid ounces on sale for like $1.50. So, cheers for buying music and beer on the cheap. And before we get started, I kind of did want to talk about what my actual buying habits and shopping habits are like for Goodwill, in case anyone is interested. Uh, so I kind of have 2 or 3 Goodwills that I actually try to frequent on a weekly basis, especially earlier on in the week, because I feel like that's when stuff gets dropped there. And I pulled most of this stuff from singular hauls that were dropped all at once. And then if I'm ever just out traveling around, I got literally 30 minutes to kill, or I just know I can afford a quick pit stop somewhere, I'll just do a quick Google search, see if there's a Goodwill nearby, and if there is, I'll stop in, see what's going on. And sometimes that's all it takes to luck into some of this stuff. It's not like a big commitment or anything. I think sometimes it's just even checking can luck you into some great finds. Let's go ahead and get into it. Some of this stuff I might go through kind of quickly because, I haven't listened to it more than like a song or so, and I got a lot, and a lot of it is stuff that I'm excited to dive into in the future. Just finally getting to my collection. So we'll start with two Tesla albums that I picked up. This is their 1991 album, Psychotic Supper. And I think this is still supposed to be like the glory days of Tesla, like where they're still riding that fine line between, kind of obnoxious glam metal, but still kick ass, like hard rock. Kind of like a similar line that Skid Row followed on their self-titled. So cool to finally get this one. I think I'll probably end up holding on to it. Some of this stuff I might end up selling, but I think this one I will hold on to. And then I got their follow-up, Bust a Nut. What a great title for Tesla. They're busting a nut, and there's the poor almond being crushed. So this is, I think, their follow-up, 1994. And yeah, both owned by the same guy. I have a couple albums by this person. Some dude with the initials of JK, and the fucker signed all of his CDs. JK. Just kidding. And then from there, I had an interesting Goodwill run where everything was just Christian music. Like literally the whole CD section was one giant Christian bookstore, and it was a fucking lot to sift through. It was kind of torturous. By like the fifth Jesus Culture album, I was feeling like walking out. With the back of my mind, I was like, man, X-Stol's a Christian band. Fucking Mortification is a Christian band. There might be something in there. I didn't find either of those bands, but I did find a couple releases by White Cross. If anyone's heard of them, I mean, look at these guys. These guys are fucking glammy Christ rock that came out in like the 90s. I feel like Christian music is typically behind the curve just by definition, and I mean this definitely helps to cement that. I mean, should have been released in like probably 86, 87, but it came out in 1994. Here's some choice cuts. Home in Heaven, Goodbye Cruel World, I Keep Praying, King of Angels. Man, I fucked up probably buying this thing, even for $1. I don't know what I was thinking. I might I might end up selling it. I mean, look, is that a Confederate flag? Yeah, and then of course it's got like the advertisements for, Teen Mania, like a Christian group event or something. Have you ever seen a life changed right before your eyes? Thousands of teens across America have, thanks to Teen Mania. Come accept Christ. And then if this one wasn't bad enough, I fucking bought Jesus Christ, I'm stupid. This mega collection of White Cross. Fucking 3 White Cross albums. Which one of them is this one? So I don't know. When you're at Goodwill, like, you feel like a king, kind of. You're like, I can afford everything in front of me. This White Cross album, I guess I felt like I should get just because there's 3. It's got, of course, the previous album I mentioned, Unveiled. It's got one more Encore, which is their live album. And it's got their late 90s album, Equilibrium, on it. Which, I've listened to Equilibrium, that's this one right here, a couple times. And I gotta say, I actually dig some of the songs on it. Some of the ones off of this, a bit more hokey, a bit more of that like Poison sound. Some of the songs off of Equilibrium, we're getting closer to Skid Row and Tesla, as I mentioned before. So, thank you, Goodwill. And then from there, I did find a solid album I've actually been looking for a while. People have been hyping up King's X to me for a bit, and it's just they've never been a band that's ever actually clicked with me, and I think it's just because they're kind of awkwardly straddling metal, prog, and hard rock, and they're just like they don't fit into any one of those niches. And so if I'm in the mood to listen to like something a little bit heavy, this isn't heavy enough. If I want to listen to something a little prog, this isn't prog enough, and kind of so on and so forth. But I find this, and this one was actually 50 cents. I find this for 50 cents. I'm going to pick it up. It's their 1990 album, Faith, Hope, Love. So this is a little bit later in their career. And then also, finally got my hands on a White Zombie album, Astro Creep 2000, which, holy shit, this is actually a lot more kick-ass than I was expecting. White Zombie were always one of those bands where I was like, man, I only need a couple songs. I only need to be like, yeah, let's listen to More Human Than Human, or, you know, honestly, Thunder Kiss 65 is boring as fuck, so not that song. But, shit. Oh, dude, Supercharger Heaven, which is off this album too, is pretty great. But like this album is pretty kick-ass when you put it on. Like, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of Rob Zombie's vocal choices. I like the packaging too. So I'm glad to finally get this one for a decent price of $1. Then from there, this was my like holy shit, what a fine album. Or one of them. I actually got a couple more I'm about to show that I think were even better than this one. But just stumbling upon Bloody Kisses at a Goodwill is amazing. But I admit, I already have this one, and I already have this exact pressing of it. The Roadrunner 9100. Already got this one. So, but I have a good home to send this off to. That's another reason to go shop at Goodwill. Any stuff that you get, it's like it's $1. And even if you already have it or you're not interested in it, you can probably find someone pretty easily, especially if you're involved in the music community. You can find someone pretty easily who would probably enjoy it. So this one's going to a good home shortly. Then from there, here I'll try to stick with the metal for now. Like, let's see, we got Dream Theater Awake, and this is the album after Images and Words. So Dream Theater, kind of like King's X, is one of those like prog bands which just never really clicked with me because it's like they weren't heavy enough. I didn't think they were prog enough. I thought that, but I haven't given them a proper listen in a while. So I think that this album right here and Images and Words, which is I also own, will be good on a re-listen. And then let's see, one more metalish album. This is Norma Jean with Redeemer. So I could see people trying to shit on Norma Jean, truthfully. Like, they're one of those like southern bands that really relied on that hardcore, mathcore, sound of the early 2000s, like that Dillinger Escape Plan, but like a little watered down, kind of like 43% burnt, but with more breakdowns. And they rely on it, but I think they go a little bit above and beyond, and I think they definitely like take the sound and become more with it. You know, I did not know this album. I used to own one of their earlier ones, Oh God, the Aftermath, and that one's good. And I've seen them live before, put on a killer live show. But I'm excited to get some of their stuff in because I've always kind of admired them as like just a hard-working band that sticks by their guns and can actually write a good song. Like even some of their more polished, poppier music that they're starting to release these days, it's good. The the songwriting is just there, and the hooks are there, and I even think back in their skronkier metalcore days, the hooks and stuff were there. So yeah, this is Redeemer from 2006. Okay, so now we're deviating a little bit from metal to kind of wrap up my my Goodwill finds. So here we got some post rock from Sigaros. I am not going to be able to pronounce this. I apologize. Because guess what? This is a post rock band from Iceland, and a lot of the titles and the lyrics are in Icelandic, and I can't read that shit. But here, props to one of the most interesting booklets to ever be featured with an album. What is this, a D? And it's cool too. It's got like the little storyboard of this angel fetus as it matures into like a straight G or something. But yeah, I admit I'm like a casual fan of Sigaros. I have a couple of their other albums, and I'll put them on every now and then when I'm craving like the post rock. They haven't necessarily gripped me like other post rock bands, like We Lost the Sea or Godspeed You. But I think they come at it from a less intense place, if that makes sense. Like a more place where they're trying to build an actual beautiful atmosphere, and yeah, it's just not what I'm looking for sometimes. But shit, you give it to me from Goodwill, I'll take it. I mean, I guess saving the best for last. Dude, look at this shit. Closer by Joy Division. And this isn't just any copy of Closer. This is a collector's edition, double CD copy, where it's got the album Closer on one side, and then it's got a live show from 1980 at the University of London Union. And I mean, this one has Dead Souls, A Means to an End, Love Will Tear Us Apart, The Eternal. I mean, a lot of killer tracks on it. And it's got a great booklet too. I mean, look, that's your clue, Mr. Ian Curtis right there, looking like Ian Curtis. So excited to have this. This is actually my first Joy Division that I have officially in the collection. They're just one of those bands I've just not ever seen, for a price that I was willing to pay, I guess, And to luck into this at Goodwill for $1 is literally the best case scenario, and that's like the main reason I could give to please just do not neglect your Goodwill. Like, you don't have to go there religiously. Just check it out every now and then. You got a free lunch break. You got a free, you know, 30 minutes here or there. Just stop in. I mean, the CD collection is not large. It's just give it a cursory glance. Even you might be surprised sometimes at what you have, what they might have. So, cheers, man. Thanks for watching. Find music wherever you can. Drink good beer.